All right, Rossi, Dominik on a PLE. I like it for him, but I don't really think this match is sexy, even though Dominik versus Penta is like a cool match. We just saw it 2 weeks ago on Raw. For him to be on a PLE versus Penta, I don't know. It's cool. It should be good, but it's just not sexy. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the match will be good. I think there'll be really good crowd reactions. This feels like they needed to come up with a show opener.
Yeah, it works.
And this was kind of what they came up with.
I think this is the first time in PLE history we have both Intercontinental titles on the card as well, too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be what is this now? Every match is a title match too, right?
Besides Gunther and Pat. But
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. That one. Okay.
3 of these 5 matches are considered mid-card title matches, 2 of them being men, and being the other Intercontinental. So historically, we have a historical night here. So that is also pretty cool.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this. I have the vibes that we're going to see Penta and Phoenix together soon. So it's almost
just squeezing out all of the singles run pretty much.
Yeah, it almost feels like we're trying to get Penta. He's got a lot of equity kind of already. So getting Dom a win over him here should do some wonders for Dom too. Not that he needs it, but it's high volume, I think.
Add AAA in as well, right? You perhaps these are guys that the Mexican fan base who actually has come out, spends the most money is Latins in professional wrestling. So interesting that, I'm sure there's metrics to everything. So, it's pretty cool. I don't like Penta taking another loss here. I don't suspect him to lose, but maybe that's it. But then again, he's kind of bulletproof heading into that Lucha Bro run that you kind of just alluded to.
Yeah. And I mean, when you think about this PLE, you've got this is like the Mexico match. The Lyra match with Becky is like the Europe match. So this kind of touched on different areas of the globe.
Yeah, and Gunther and Pat is the douchebag match. So yeah, there's a lot of
and they could have theoretically even put like Io and Julia on this show too. That would have been fun.
Yeah, it was kind of like, are they gonna announce like a Heyman tag? It's way too early for Logan and Jay. Like, are we gonna get that like random tag team division that they're building up to? But they put that on Raw too. So I think this is the least out of the matches, but I think it's more for Dom than anything really.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a reward for the reaction he got at Mania. I think that was way more of a babyface feel than they expected. And you want to have Judgment Day. I mean, it wouldn't be a shock to me if they make like kind of a move forward with that story. It's kind of been trudging along for a while, but it just feels like the split's coming and it just never happens. Some weeks it feels like they're more unified. Some weeks it feels like they're further apart. So maybe there's something happens with Finn on this. He walks out on them or something because he definitely seems like the odd man out in the group. So this could just be a way to kind of escalate whatever happens there. But all in all, it definitely feels like this is a show that's kind of meant to push along more of like the Raw B-side like type feuds,
Yeah, anything while we hear Judgment Day kind of applies to this match anyways. Anything to the Roxanne Finn, or is that like a classic red herring that they've been doing?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it almost feels like Finn's going to be the one that becomes the babyface out of it, but he's also still like leaning heel. But Dom's getting babyface reactions. People love Liv. I think they'll love her even more when she's back from the movie shit. So maybe Judgment Day continues on as babyfaces, and Finn, brings Roxanne in to kind of help, offset Liv.
Yeah, curious what they got going on there. We got AJ Styles lurking as well, looking buff as hell coming into the frame last night in the Judgment Day locker room saying he's got next. And then next week on Raw, we have Finn versus AJ. I assume Finn takes another loss there as they kind of build AJ up for a Dom AJ match. AJ and Breaker before this kind of like flirting as well, where they didn't know direction-wise on a few WrestleMania things. So maybe AJ is perhaps the plan for the Intercontinental title in the summer. And then maybe this is a way to kind of give Dom a jump-up moment too as well, and a victory on a PLE, because maybe his title reign really isn't as long as we suspect.
Yeah, and honestly, like Dom, it's not crazy to think that Dom could be in consideration for Money in the Bank this year.
Well, that's cute. Yeah.
But we're kind of close to it. So I think we're maybe a year early with that. But because that's the thing is, everything that's getting right. Yeah. Everything is getting built now to kind of be like this 3-show arc, right? Because starting Saturday, there's 3 major shows in a 5-week span.
Which is cool.
So it's like you saw that with like how Raw ended. They're like teasing the Logan stuff's not involved on this. So I feel like this is kind of the kickoff of whatever happens with Dom, and maybe the AJ match finds its way to Saturday Night's Main Event, or maybe that ends up on Money in the Bank, whatever. But I definitely think Dom is somebody that's going to be getting a little bit more PLE usage moving forward, one way or the other.
All right, you talked about the big WrestleMania pop. You think it's a WrestleMania aberration, or do you think he gets something like 70-80% of that at Backlash?
I actually think this crowd will probably be like 50-50.
Okay.
I think that both sides of this are kind of going to be cheered. And this is one of those matches where you're going to have segments of the crowd that are cheering for both, right? So ultimately, I think either way, whoever wins this match is going to get a good reaction. I mean, obviously, I expect Dom to retain. But the Mania one was just because I think a lot of people weren't expecting him to win. So it kind of, and he was probably the one that people wanted to win the most of those four. Where here, I don't think people would be upset either way. So I don't think the pop will be as exciting, regardless of what happens.
All right, match structure wise, interesting, right? I could see this going 15 minutes. Is that too long, though? Yeah, I would think less is more. Like a Raw match for these guys would be kind of electric, but 15 to 20 feels like it would be kind of, I don't know, risky, but maybe outkicking what it should be. Anything over 15 start taking away from what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could. I don't know if Dom's really in a spot right now to do anything longer than 15. Kind of same with Penta.
Penta too, honestly, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of work best in sprints, right? I mean, even the Mania 4-way was like 11 minutes. So,
yeah.
And they got a lot of shit in those 11 minutes.
Yeah, with Finn being a general and Breaker just being a fucking
right.
dude. Right.
The only thing, like, there was so much interference on the Raw match with JD and Penta that it's like, obviously Gable's involved with Penta in some way now. So maybe Phoenix gets involved to kind of help them. Maybe that's how we start offshooting.
Gable and El Grande Americano.
Right. I feel like there's going to be a lot of bullshit in this match one way or the other. And this kind of fits the Judgment Day mold. It gets kind of tiring after a while, but it kind of fits what Dom is,
Yeah, it's because there's definitely been hints, even around WrestleMania season before that, of Penta and Phoenix kind of coming together. So perhaps Penta loses and then they come together afterwards. And then, Phoenix just ends up on Monday Night Raw. And I don't even know if they have to bring Light to a trade or whatever. And then we're just kind of off to the breaks with that. And then they can feud with the Judgment Day within. So yeah, that kind of makes sense too. So it feels like this is definitely like a placement here, full circle. It feels like it's more story based and kind of something for Dominik Mysterio than a Raw rematch from 2 weeks ago that had a lot of interference.
Right. And like, even looking forward to, like, we're saying there's 3 major shows in a 5-week span. There's really 4 when you think of that Worlds Collide show, which, is being branded as like NXT versus AAA, but
you could see a lot of Raw.
There's not a lot of
Lucha Bros too, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's in NXT that leans happy for the Mexican fan base, right? Yeah. So there could be some, 6-man that comes out of this where you throw like, 3 members of Judgment Day against like Vikingo and 2 other people. So there's a lot of shit that they could do over the next month with these guys in general. And this it just feels like it was meshed together. That, like I said, I see this as like an opening match that they kind of felt like when they were spacing out the card, they needed one. But it's because, the crowd's going to be hot for this because everything Dom and Penta does right now is kind of warm. So it's just kind of interesting to see where they, are really offshooting this as we move along towards those other shows that are coming up. And because you got to assume once they start doing some shit in Mexico, Dom's going to be the person that they're going to want down there the most,
Yeah, and you think, right, those are usually 5-match PLE, right? So Worlds Collide is going to be 5 matches. I can just see a big mixture of El Grande Americano, some Judgment Day guys versus Penta, Vikingo, guys like that, just kind of melding in like a 6-8-man tag of chaotic main event, right? That kind of makes sense. And perhaps we get Vikingo this weekend too, 2 PLEs in a row where we would see him to build towards that is kind of smart too as well, to have him jump in for the chaos. So this definitely feels more story than not. All right, Mike, you did a great job on Shooting Sharp to break down the releases, and you have some percentages for us. I don't want to spoil them, but you spent some time giving percentages of people that kind of re-sign, other places come back, so on and so forth. So a little surprising. I'm just off the cuff of listening to that. So I can't suggest that more than not. If you're on YouTube, go check out Shooting Sharp on the podcast feed.
Yeah, really cool. I did some numbers as I was thinking about all the releases, really going back since 2020, and kind of had AEW in mind because, I feel like the thing that most people do when there's releases is they start fantasy booking these guys to where they're going to end up. So I kind of want to do some digging, and I have some stats as like what percentages ended up in other promotions, what percentages kind of didn't do much major. And once you break those down, it's kind of jarring, so definitely check it out.
No. I was shocked listening to it. So, guys, check that out. And one more thing, Celtics down 1-0. We still got this in 5 or what?
Yeah, I think maybe six. Maybe 6. But, I mean, we lost game 1 in overtime when we missed 45 threes and they shot 46% from 3. So if the Knicks do that 3 more times, then God bless them.
We got Pudgy Mike coming up tomorrow, so there's going to be some mixture there. He's a big Knicks fan. So I'm going to have to eat some humble pie on that one. But, Mike, check out Shooting Sharp, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Later.